Hi, I'm Myochi.
And I'm Renee, and welcome to the 40 Spot, where we discuss the highs and lows and everything in between about being 40. So, if this is your first time, we welcome you. If this is a repeat, welcome back. We would like you to like, comment, subscribe, and if you're following us on YouTube, please hit the notification bell so that you know every time that we're going to go live. And you can follow us on all platforms at the number 40 spot, and you can email us at the40spot at gmail.com. And if you want to support us, with a dollar sign, the 40 spot on Cash App.
On today's episode, we're going to discuss our 2023 resolutions and what we think it will take for us to reach our goals. But first, we're going to get into our While We Were Out segment. This is where we discuss news, entertainment, and personal experiences that have occurred since our last show. So, what is the first thing on the list tonight?
Well, first, it's good to see you. We need to video chat more often because I don't see you enough.
True.
But you cute. Hey, girl, I ain't
Hey,
seen you.
girl. You so good.
Yes.
I see you with the lashes.
Girl, I'm glad that they ain't showing this little corner. It's lifting up, and it is.
I
So if y'all see
I
me,
can't see
she
it.
about to fly away. Trust me, it's because it's irritating. But anyway, well, one thing that we want to say, I know that the whole world seen with um Damar when he took the hit and they had to stop the game for CPR and everything for the NFL. So recently today, the Buffalo Bills and the Cincinnati Bengals, they played again today, and it looks like the Bengals is going to win because Buffalo, from some of the stats and stuff, it just seemed like they didn't want to play, but they're playing in the snow. But this is not a repeat of that game, if I'm not mistaken. I think this is just was another scheduled game that they was going to have to play one another. But we're glad that those players, they're back in the saddle, and he's doing fine, you
That's
know.
awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
like we talked about last time, he is getting his money, and I just pray that all is well with him in the future.
Yes. um Also, just speaking of football in general, the Tennessee State University Aristocrat of Bands, they have been nominated for two NAACP awards. That's my alma mater. But this is the time frame which anybody can um, vote for NAACP Image Awards. So they have about 59 categories. So you just log on, and they have some phenomenal people, phenomenal movies across our platforms. So they're not just ones that went to the silver stream. It is some that was on Hulu, television shows, streaming services and everything.
Yeah, and
So
you can vote more than once. You can vote once a day, and it's by your email. So if you have more than one email address, you can kind of work your magic.
yes. And again, please vote for Tennessee State University Aristocrats of Bands because they're in two categories.
Hmm.
Um, so it will be just great just to see. One, it's great for them to be nominated, but also, the young people that put in the work and actually to see that their work was, showcased in such a public, global platform that will forever be immortalized.
Uh-huh. It don't help that that's your alma mater, huh? It don't
Guess
hurt,
what?
I should say.
But guess what? Your alma mater, they doing pretty good too.
They are. So we also started a band this year. They're doing their thing right now. But another new program that's at FIS, it is being all over the news, social media with the gymnastics team. And so these ladies are doing amazing on their first NCAA run. Just really want to give it up to them and everything that they're doing. If for Go Fist Goats. Just to give a little background, like this, everything happened really quickly for them. Um, one of the students really wanted to go to FIST, but really wanted to be a part of a gymnastics program. And
Mhm.
her uncle happened to be on the board, and he was like, "Okay, bet, honey, when they talk about your network is your net worth, that is real." When I say, with my understanding, it was within months stuff started rolling. And when this started at the beginning of last year, and they were together by I believe the summer, because we actually started hearing about them having a team in the summer.
Okay.
So it's just amazing. They went to Vegas, had top scores. They
Mm-hmm.
came here to Georgia, went to Athens to Georgia and competed against Georgia State. That meet, a lot of Fisk alum went out and to support it there. They are doing amazing. They do have a wonderful coach. Just to give some more information, her name is
Okay.
Corinne Tarver, and she was the first Black gymnast to win NCAA all around championship.
Oh wow.
They are these all these young women have been a part of programs since they were young, and then to
Mm-hmm.
have such a coach that knows this process and so quickly, right? Like, this is the beginning of their program, and they
Mm.
are doing so well. They're placing, and I just want them to go out and have a good time, because I know that's also pressure being the first and all eyes on you. But
Yeah.
they look like they're handling that pressure very, very well. So shout out to Fisk and the gymnast
Yes.
there. Yes.
Yes. They really have, like, all over social media,
Hmm.
because I've seen them. I think it's on the Shade Room or Boss Up, where it's
Baller
great to
alert.
see. Yes, them to see them highlight great things that are happening, and a lot of people may not be aware of Fisk University. So then that gets people looking into that particular school, like, hey, where it
I
come
remember
from?
when I said I was going, it was always that question of, what's a Fisk? It's a university. And I would always say it's right down the street from TSU.
Right, across the street, literally from a Harry,
Yeah.
because my sister, as people know who follow the show, she's an alumni there, but she actually heard about Fisk University. She went on a high school college tour, so that was one of they stopped here in Nashville, and she fell in love with the school, and then came back later on, a couple of months later, and I remember we came up and we was doing a tour and everything, and then they told my sister there that she had been accepted, and I tell you, it was some shouting going on. But like, now looking back, like, they was just kind of like, that's what's supposed to happen, like,
Exactly.
that's right, get your
Exactly.
shout on and stuff like that. But prior to her going to on that college tour, we had not heard of Fisk University. And
Hmm.
actually, once you get to a HBCU, and then there are so many other HBCUs that are small, and some of them that are large. Like, I had never even heard of Prairie View, which
Hmm.
that is not a small college,
Nope.
so you just really find out, like, way, way more of the HBCUs. But we're just happy. I'm looking forward to the gymnastics team being great, because it's great for the city of Nashville. I think everybody is
Absolutely.
supporting them, and hopefully, this definitely opened up the gate for other HBCUs to get gymnastics teams.
And other programs that are not usually at HBCUs, that are, predominantly at PWIs. And a lot of times these programs aren't at HBCUs because students don't think about HBCUs in that way. So I hope that this kind of change the narrative and that talk around it, and get people excited and knowing that it is possible, and so that different types of programs can come up at other HBCUs.
Exactly. Other than like your traditional, that
Basketball,
everybody know, basketball, football, baseball, volleyball,
track.
those, yeah, track and field.
Hmm.
So that more people can start doing other stuff. And especially, it's a win for a smaller HBCU that may not have a football team, but then that gives another avenue for even more athletes to go. Because there are some people like, hey, I do want to support, I do want to go to HBCU. Maybe they come from a family of HBCU graduates, but let's just say maybe they play golf, or maybe they're play lacrosse, which is not huge, or soccer, but you don't see those traditionally at HBCU. So they just they blazers for so much
Yes,
more.
yes, they
So
are.
we applaud
Kudos,
them.
ladies. Yes,
Yes,
keep
keep up
doing
the
y'all
good
thing.
work, and everybody just go out and just support is everything, everything. So on another note, since we're
Speaking of
talking
HBCUs,
HBCUs, Bethune Cookman had named a head coach, Ed Reed. He's a former Hall of Famer. I thought he was much older, but actually he's only 44 years old. And
oh,
everybody was
really?
excited. Yeah. So he should be watching a 40 spot. Um, so he had been named about a month ago, mid December, as their new head coach, and people that was very, very excited, where it was just like, hey, we seeing, former NFL stars and stuff that as I say, Deion Sanders, and it's like, okay, we're gonna have even more. We're gonna have even more. So he took the job, and what I guess the first day that he got there, you know, he ended up going viral because he made a video of him going on a rant, and I guess he's on like a little golf cart, and he's driving around, and he is infuriated with the the way that the grounds are being kept. He was
Mm-hmm.
talking about they're dirty, they're nasty, and I mean he was very, very vile
Mm.
with it. And it's just kind of like, bruh, this your first day or is this your first week? Whatever it is, but he goes in completely. Then, like the next day, because of course it went viral, and people they was in his AWS, they gave him the business,
And
and
they,
he
as they should have, as they
yes,
should have.
and
I
then
mean,
he
imagine going to your job on the first day talking shit about your job on the
yes,
first day. How you think that's
exactly.
gonna work?
Is and you do it in such one of the most public ways, like you ain't think your supervisor was gonna find out, because although he's a ex Hall of Famer, I'm pretty sure ever since he probably was a little pee wee football, you had a coach, so you had somebody that you had to answer to. So although you was the head coach, you still have a boss over you, even if
Hello.
that boss may not have nothing to do with football. It could just be the president of the school. But one thing is for sure, that the board of the schools, people, everybody's there have to answer to them. So he issued out an apology. I did not read the apology because I felt like since it was your mouth that said it, your mouth should have read it.
Hello.
But
And it's too late. That is, go ahead.
yes,
Finish with the
and
story.
yesterday after we was talking about what we're going to talk about, it was shown that they're not going to ratify his contract. So before you got in, you are well out. Which
So they rescinded his offer as it should.
yes, because his lawyer and people met with the school and the school board, and they couldn't come to an agreement. And it probably was that, guess what? No, because we can't trust you. I
Exactly. I
feel
don't
like
even think there is no agreement. That's probably the politically correct way to say we couldn't come to an agreement. But the agreement is you can't work here.
exactly.
Because first of all, you come to the school like that, your players, this is their first impression. How are you supposed to get them now to trust you, to hear you, the people you're working with? And I'm sorry, a little bit more maturity, a little less impulsivity.
Mhm.
You are not prepared. I don't know nothing about football, but mindset wise, your mindset is not a leader because that's not what leaders do. You don't get
No,
on social media and rag on the campus. And at the end of the day,
exactly.
they just you that shows you just trying to use HBCU to probably go to a PWI.
Exactly, which I think with a lot of people that may have been former NFL stars, I don't think the end goal is for them to be a head coach at a college. I think their end goal is to be a head coach of an NFL team, which, if they look at
Probably.
the statistics of that, that's even very, very slim to none, because a lot of head coaches were not NFL stars. They were
Hmm.
just was not. And given account of the statistics, there are far more players that are melanated skin than there are. There's not even a handful of black head coaches in the NFL. So you almost had want to do something that they not. I think they've already filled their capacity because I think it's maybe like three black head coaches for the NFL. So I think they have already met their
They
capacity.
don't have a
They
lot of head coaches in PWI football.
no, they
So,
don't.
I know some people like that's why, they want to go to PWIs. No, they probably want to go to PWIs, but they're not getting hired. Who's hiring your
Exactly.
HBCUs and you're using HBCUs to go to PWIs. Now, I don't feel I don't have a dog in this fight, but I will say I don't think it's an issue for having a job and then getting a better job. A job is a job is a job because if I
Hmm.
have a job, I'm going to then try to get a better job if
Right.
that's possible. But your intent in when I do have that job, I'm going to do my very best. I am
Mhm.
here present and I am going to do my very best. You are starting like that. That already points to the mindset that you were going with. If that is how you're showing up,
Yes. And
cancel that
a lot
out.
of people, they already think certain things that you're getting, whatever it is, subpar at a HBCU, which is not the case. But we've seen, even with Tennessee State being one of the schools that have been heavily in the news, like on national news, and where Dr. Glover, she has met in front of Congress about they have gypped Tennessee State out of millions, almost a $500 million. I think the amount is like 500. Let's just round it, $500 million of funding that the school did not get, did
Right.
not receive. So guess what? I'm not saying that some things is not going to be up to par, but when you're not getting your funding that you need just to run, guess what? Pay you can't employ the people that you need to keep the grounds good. You can't employ the people that you need to keep the buildings all fresh and everything. Because guess what? That one person cannot be. It is crazy for them to be responsible for particular, let's say, 4 acres of actual land to keep that clean, and that's your job that you're going to be doing every day.
Right. Something needs to change. My hope is that the more that we hear about HBCUs in the news, because a lot of times it is a matter of public opinion that helps things along. That is just the reality. So with Fisk being in the news, I know at one time Morehouse Spelman, they had a deal with Polo, like, all
Yeah.
these things. And my hope is that not only do Spelman, Morehouse, Fisk and Howard get the recognition that they get, that all of these different schools get what they need, and so that way they can lobby for what is belongs to them already. Because, like as you said, you know, funding is cut.
Yes, because think about it, back in August, Howard University, they were in the news because the students were protesting about the conditions of the dorm,
Right.
and and it wasn't just the beautification of it. Some of it was actual structural stuff.
Some of it
Where
was mold. So I remember that was one of
exactly
the issues. So I mean, it's
funding.
just boils down to funding. And the reality is, if you want to have a quality, let me tell you what you're gonna get. Okay, you can say a lot about HBCUs, but what you're gonna get is a good education. You are going
Yes.
to get professors that know what they're talking about and who actually care. Now they might have one or two that don't. Okay, those you will have with you. However, that is very different from the majority don't care, and then you have one that cares. But
Hmm.
the majority at HBCUs, you are going to get the education, and that is the most important piece. All the other stuff is
Yes.
nice and it's motivating and it's pretty and it's all whatever. The education though, you are going to get that, and you're going to get family, you're going to get camaraderie, I, you just get something different, in my opinion, that you won't get at a PWI. And no offense to anyone who went to a PWI, great. Everyone is honestly going to school for the same reason. So
Guess what?
as long as
I
you're
I
reaching
have the
goals,
experience. Child,
that it,
I started out at a PWI, and I'm gonna tell you.
Mm-hmm.
The horrors there. I ain't gonna mention their name or nothing, but they wrote a letter. The school, the dean of students wrote a letter to the black students and posted it everywhere, and basically was anything shy of y'all black, y'all nasty, whatever. And I'm looking like, have you seen my sweet mate? They never clean this bathroom.
Child.
And I was just like, oh, I have to say to my mom, I know I can't stay here because I be fighting. I'll be fighting because I remember I was there and it was like, it was a small school and it was probably about 270, 280 African American or black students. And I was like, y'all okay with this? And I didn't know, now looking back, it was like that was my rise up right there. Like, y'all okay with this?
Like it's time. It's about that time. Let's see what
It's
other
time.
options are.
It's time to make like a baby and head on out.
Hello.
No, we can't. You can't stay here. I don't even want even the at that time the taxpayers of South Carolina, any of their money going to them. Anybody, like, it was ridiculous. It was ridiculous, and it was like, I already knew, like, I went there because they gave money, but my heart never was there. I always wanted to go to a HBCU. And like, if I could go back, baby, I would have started out at a HBCU. Whether I got all of the money, a little bit of money, at the end of the day, I'm still paying student loans. So I still
Hello.
didn't go for free.
Well, speaking of nasty, our
Yes.
sister in podcast,
Yes.
Carisha from
Carisha,
Carisha Please.
please.
Honey, the big conversation has been golden showers.
And P.
So
Diddy.
now
P.E.
that was funny.
That was
Look,
trending
I
on
would say
Twitter.
this, marketing at its best. I don't know. So apparently they were playing her Carisha Please game, and that was one of the things that she pulled. Do you like golden showers? And she was like, I like it. Okay. So this started a
Mm.
really big conversation. It was some reality stars that kind of chimed in and was like, oh, I like it too. It's like, okay, yo, I just it's amazing to me the stuff people put online. Like I don't get it. You know, I am not very private, but I'm also not like, here's all my business either. But yeah,
She could
honey,
have lied about that. She
could
definitely
have.
could
She
have
could
lied.
have. I mean, what she's trending. Her
Yes.
podcast is being talked about. People want to go and see the episode. Like it makes sense. You know,
And
you
people are
trying to
going to
get
go and see other episodes because they want to see what
exactly. That's
else
how
you
it
was
works.
talking about. What was you doing? And some people who may not have even known of her, because some people only know her as Young Miami from the City Girls. So when they
Right.
use her real name, which is Carisha, it's like, who is this?
Right.
So
Honey, they
she's
checking her
definitely,
out now.
yes, they getting likes, views, and it's like, oh, you're a singer. So I'm pretty sure streams have went up because people, they want to hear
They
some
want to
of
hear
their
the whole
songs.
story.
Yeah,
People
like,
want to hear the
let me
whole
download everything. Let me
story.
see if you talking about peeing on people and stuff like that. But people also, R. Kelly was trending too because he posted from his initial scandal, you know, urinating on a 12-year-old, which that's just wrong anyway. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like peeing on somebody is wrong, but
Unless it's consensual, that person likes it or like, yeah, you can try it. I mean, I should say this. Everybody
what
have
is
their
that type
own
of
kink.
conversation that starts
I
up to
mean, I guess
have
you're
that?
talking about like, yeah, so what you like, and like, so I'm a freak and I like to do this. Okay, so how big of a freak? Because you start, talking about certain stuff like, oh, so do you like this? Do you like this? You like when somebody this, and then that comes up. I've never had anyone ask me if I like that. I have not
Okay.
said that I like that. I don't like that, but it's also my personal preference. Everyone has their own
I know I don't like to be peed
preference.
on because
I
let
mean,
me tell
I
you,
don't.
look,
Um,
I
you know.
have a 19-year-old son
hmm
and I have been peed on so many times. And as I say, that was baby pee pee. Because when he came out of the womb, 3 pushes he got. So on the third push, boom, his head is there to the doctor and his pee pee. And if had she not moved her head back, it would have been in her mouth, but it
He
went
came out like,
directly
here you
on the
go.
chin.
He came out giving golden showers.
Yes, and then it was just like, oh, okay, you hold him for a little bit, then they're going to take him and weigh him and kind of wipe him off and everything. And so they got him over there under this light, and they trying to get him and swallow him. And then I look, and all I do is see, and it's just like the lady, she had got me, and I mean strong because it would have been on top of her head, and I'm just like. And my son, he was so hard to potty train, daytime potty train. So then when he had nighttime potty train, like he used to be in the bed with me. Like
You
as
like, I'm
soon as it
done.
hit me, I'm jumping. I'm like, I don't understand. It hit you first, but you still just just laid
So you
up.
are done with being
I
peed on.
I don't want nobody pee. And as I say, that was baby pee. I knew when my baby had been in. This is talking about grown people.
I mean, I wonder what
Cause she
people
said
like
it
about
just
it.
the way she did, she was like, it just do something to me. Like she
That's
had
what I'm
got a
saying. I
visual.
wonder what it is. Like, is it the fact that someone did it? Certain
I
things you
don't
might
know.
like not because of it's not like the
I don't
action
like the
doesn't
smell of
necessarily.
pee pee, so
Yeah.
I don't think no.
But if
Mm-mm.
the person drinks a lot of water and they eat clean, they have no smell. So I'm just saying. I'm just saying. In defense, I'm just wondering: is it like because usually pee is
That
warm? So I don't know. But what's his name? Kevin Gates said he don't just
finger
like golden
nasty.
showers. My boy said he gave a girl a cup and she peed in it and he drunk it. But he also said it didn't taste like nothing. She was clean. She drank a lot of water. Da 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 da. If we was in the desert, that's what you do to survive, my boy. We y'all was in a car. You weren't
Exactly.
in the desert. There was
You didn't say
no
that you was in the
reason to
car
that.
traveling across the Sahara Desert, but like if you knew you was gonna drive the car across the desert, like clearly you would have some water in. Why would you be in the car traveling across the desert? I don't know.
I
But
don't
you know
know,
what?
but
He has so many songs about doing other other
yeah,
things. Like he is
he don't have no
definitely
problem saying he
like
like he's. But see, that is also
he's
his
gangster
brand.
raunchy nasty.
Yes, because that's also his brand. Like his
This
songs
is
is like,
true.
I'm eating booty, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, da 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 da. Like
Yes.
that is his brand. So him saying that's not like off the wall.
Yeah.
That's part of who he is. Like you said, he gangster, raunchy, nasty, and I don't mean
Yeah.
nasty in a bad way. It's just
Yeah.
right there in your face.
But it's just like with him because he is very, he's very that. And then, on other things, he's very, very uh religious oriented, being Muslim. And I remember when he kicked this girl in her face and chin at a concert because, you know, the people there
She was
right there on the
groping her,
stage, and
him.
then she touched him. And she didn't
Hmm.
touch him in this genitalia because, like, the stage is high. So I think maybe like she touched him maybe from her kneecap on down. And he was like, no, I'm holy, da 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 da. You don't touch me. And I'm just like, but still, to keep that, y'all should have had some type of gate in between so people can touch you. But it's like,
If that was, I would say that if that was like that big, because if you're on a stage and people are down, people are going to try to touch you. That is a given. I mean, I do get the idea of consent. I thought she did try
no,
to
I
grope
watched the
him.
video. She was just because where like if you've been on like front row and it's like right there at the stage is already, about 4.5 feet high, somewhere
Hmm.
like that. So they're higher up, and I don't know how tall he is, but he doesn't appear to be short in nature. So she just reached up, and it wasn't just her,
He kicked her
it's
in the
like
face.
all hands. And I mean, when he kicked her, I'm talking
I
about
should
like
not be laughing.
he kicked
It's
it,
just funny to think about the fact that he was like, ah.
but the thing is, he went to jail and not just
Hmm.
being arrested because he was already on paperwork and stuff like that. I think he ended up spending more than a year, something like that, in jail.
For
So
that
it just,
act,
yeah,
assault.
his
Yeah.
ass stay going to jail for stupid stuff. I mean, this is like after the fact that he has become famous and stuff like that. But it's like,
Hmm.
bruh, you still on papers, right? Like, at that point, I would want one of those what it is, riot gates and stuff. So it's like 6 feet away from the stage. That's where the gate at. That's where the people. So nobody has a 6 foot arm, and then you have security down there guarding, so people not hopping that gate. But it's like, I remember going to a concert one time and I saw Tank, and then they went to the after party and we was up there and he sung and he was just kind of up there on the microphone, whatever like that. And I touched his shoes. I touched his pants. Why
Yeah.
would I
I
not?
think I think
I
if
was
if you
there.
have I think if you have like that type of preference that you don't want someone to touch you, you definitely need to have a different type of setup because people are going to do that's a natural.
If not, don't
um
get to the edge.
exactly what that's what I'm saying. Your setup, you should have a line that tell you do this, and but Kevin Kate, he a little touched. I like his music, but he a little touched.
A little bit.
But speaking of entertainers that are
Yes.
in some additional trouble, kind of a follow up with Alec Baldwin. He
Oh,
is now being charged with involuntary manslaughter, is it?
yes. Yes.
So, that whole situation, I question it because it's like he's not the prop guy. Why were you trying to shoot the gun? Like, but at the same time, what happens now that you have this verdict? That's kind of my thing. Like, what happens? Do you have this verdict? What will
It's
happen
the
to him?
charge because they haven't been to court yet. So it's not the
Hmm.
verdict. That's what he's being charged with.
Charged with. Okay.
So this is the breakdown. As far as how they end up getting to the involuntary manslaughter. And based off of these facts that I'm about to tell y'all, it's like, you know what? They He could have been charged with something even more than that. Like they probably, since, because this is almost like a year or at least a year in the making, this thing probably was, they probably done work this thing all the way down and like this is the lowest that he can get.
Hmm.
So on the stage, and well, movie stage or whatever like that, for I have absolutely no idea, and I did not know until this case actually happened. They use real guns, not prop
Hmm.
guns.
Yeah, I didn't know that until this case
So
happened too. I think a
so
lot
they,
of people were like, "What?"
what? Exactly. So they have what they call an armorer that's there on set, and that is the only person that's supposed to deal with the gun, and they keep it in
Mm.
the safe, and then they are the one that checks it. They yell cold gun, meaning that, hey, it's done. So it's 4 different checks that they supposed to do. One, they supposed to check to make sure that there's no live rounds. So they have the bullets, and I know people, they've seen bullets, and I thought I was going to be able to get one, but I didn't. So the projectile that comes out is a bullet, and most of the time the gold part is the casing.
Mhm.
So that casing, for it to be a dummy round, they punch holes in it, and then they have to shake it, and it's a rattle. So up under the bullet, the flat part of it is like a circle, look like a bull's eye. So in the middle of that, if it's a live round, it is the same color. It doesn't have any indentation. But with theirs, they have an indentation to let you know this is a dummy round. So those are the 2 checks. Plus, they also supposed to check to make sure that only what's in the gun is what they put into the gun. So then once they have it, they yell cold gun, they give it to the actor. The actor then has to check and stuff as well. So on this set, the armorer was not there. The assistant
Mm.
director handed him the gun and said cold gun, which that was not the job to do. Plus, the armorer was not there. So, based off of set rules, and I don't know how the laws and stuff work or whatever in terms of that, if they should have been handling a gun anyway.
Mm.
So, also, they had additional training prior, as this movie was being developed and stuff like that. Alec Baldwin declined the training.
Mhm.
So he declined the training. Um, so then you had the assistant director doing a job that he wasn't supposed to do, which was the armorer. Who know? I don't know why the armorer was not on set or whatever, but
Probably had moving.
it's no telling.
Oh
So
Lord.
all of this safety checks and stuff like that was not even done. So the true question now is that how did a live round get onto set? But this is the thing, they make dummy rounds from live rounds so that when you shoot the gun, it won't go off. But see, the armorer, once you give that to the actor, they tell you where you need to point. Where
Hmm.
just point, this is where you're supposed to shoot, whatever like that, because they've already worked um in tandem with the director and with the camera guys to know what angle it is. And once that has been done, the actor's supposed to give the armorer the gun back, and the armorer puts it in a safe, which is also supposed to be a safeguard so you don't have anybody potentially putting something in the gun that was not supposed to be there. So
I mean, I guess how the bullet probably got there is because if it's a real gun, it probably is someone else's gun. Who, if they go shooting, or if this was a gun that a bullet that was lodged and then maybe it came loose. I mean, there's so many things that's possible. Obviously, because they have so many checks, there's so many possibilities and
uh-huh.
variables. I still question. I understand that him not going to the additional training, but he's been an actor for a very long time and has handled guns in movies. I can see him being like, "Yeah, I'm good." How does that then still make him responsible? Like, I feel like if he's being charged, other people, at least the productions, like other people
well
should be charged as well.
Well,
Because
this is the thing, because they was in New Mexico or Arizona, I forget what it is. So you have specific laws as far as what's supposed to be what. However, if you shoot a gun and kill somebody, you are still responsible because you shot that gun.
mm,
Even no matter what supposed to have happened. That's why when
prior
they
to,
put it in your hand, you supposed to check to make sure
hmm,
still that this is a dummy round, just in case nobody haven't did a switcheroo with you. So when it comes down to you decline training, you knew, everybody knew that an armorer should have been there and they wasn't. And although the assistant director was filling in for the armorer, which
but
that
that's
ain't
also
their
not his
job.
job.
Exactly. But then they were saying on the news, CNN, was he has been in cahoots and working with the DA. So that's why he hasn't gotten any charges up against him.
I bet, because if you're the last
And
person, you're
nobody don't
handing
want
it to
to,
the actor. Like, I mean, it's interesting.
it's still your responsibility. And I mean, it's also one of those things how you see, because I watch First 48 and different stuff, like how
Hmm.
one person shot a gun, but then you have 5, 6 people end up going to jail for that crime because somebody knew, somebody drove the car, somebody handled the gun, and
So
nobody
everybody,
told.
right? So
Exactly.
everybody's responsible. But those things were developed to put Black people in jail. As many as they
Absolutely.
can at one time. They said it's six
Exactly.
six birds with one stone, not two birds, but six
Exactly,
at
but
one
they're
time.
gonna learn even more stuff going to come out as far as how this whole thing came to be about, and it was like because of this is definitely going to reframe and shape the way some things are done in Hollywood. I hope one, you can't have no real guns. Like to
I
me, that
mean,
is
so,
so
well,
stupid. That is beyond.
I understand it because if we're talking about a fake gun versus a real gun and what that really looks like, and I'm sure there are some fake guns you can't make them look like a real gun, especially with the type of digitized things going on. It's get really close. At the very least, the rule should be if you don't have an armorer there, then y'all can't shoot that
I
scene
think
if you
I
need a
think
gun.
that's probably what it's supposed to be, but then guess what? Y'all still
I tried to
running or
go ahead and,
whatever. And I think Alec Baldwin was one of the producers as well of this movie, and it was a western called Russ. So time is money. And you know, one thing I will say, the only person that other than the people who didn't have nothing to do with none of it. The armorer doesn't have any a dog in the fight because it's like I was not there on set.
Right,
Like,
exactly.
did you get sick and you left, or what happened? And one thing they said that is for those four things that I listed, those are the things that the actors need to know. So the thing is going to say, if you can learn 100 and I think they said 169 lines, you can learn four safety things. So you
It's very
can't
true.
you can't sit up there and say, oh well, I couldn't remember, because they're gonna pull up all
They're gonna
150
play a
million.
movie. They're gonna put in a movie where he had a monologue and say, "So you remember that? Do
If
you
not,
remember
they're gonna sit up
that?"
there and say, you have been in X amount of videos, movies, plays, commercials, all these other different affiliates, and you can learn four lines. Well, then who been to? Guess what? You still going to jail because you don't fool people.
Well, last but not least, still in the vein of learning, or in this case, not learning, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is banning African American studies in high school. Specifically, there was a pilot program
Hmm.
in 60 schools, high schools, it's actually an AP course that was
That's
going to be
advanced
offered.
placement.
And advanced placement, so children would get college credit for this. And it's also a choice. It's also, you only can have it if you have certain type of grades, all these things. But he's banning it. And it is so wild and so ridiculous and so eraserism. And it is, I mean, it's Florida. So surprise, surprise. But the idea that you don't even if it's extra credit, you don't want them learning about anything that has to do with Black people
Okay,
and
so
our
this
contributions, not only here but around the world.
okay, so to expound on that, the 60 schools were 60 schools nationwide. So if they don't even know if the school that he's referring to was even one of the schools that was selected. That's number one. So you just putting it out there. Also, for it was a lady, oh, she had was on the news and she was talking about because Florida said CRT isn't to be taught in schools, and that's critical race theory, which really talk about systemic racism, and it's almost never taught in kindergarten through 12th grade. Typically, when you see critical race theory is your junior and senior year of law school. So even majority of the people that goes to school, attend college, attend upper level, if you're not in law school, you still do not get any of this information. So this class was not just geared to African Americans. It was geared to a lot of other things, and that the things that they go through, because it's college board people from different colleges and stuff, because they can get college credit for this
Right.
course. They set what the curriculum is, and actually it was a pilot program, so it's like it wasn't never anything set in stone, but it
They were
wasn't just
trying it
dealing
out.
with African Americans. It's dealt with a lot of different other social issues from other ethnicities and stuff, and it's just like he's striking it. But he's been toying around with a presidential bid for 2024, so he wants to appeal to his very, very
Actually,
conservative
because
base.
he has a poll rating of 65%. So his
Ooh,
constituents love him. And so this will make them love him even more, although it's not, they don't have to know details. They don't actually have to know, even when they know the truth of some things. We've seen videos where, like, nope, I still like him. I don't believe that when it's like coming
we
right out
went
of
through
their
four
mouth. So
years of that.
exactly, that's what I'm saying. So his base loves him, and so he's going to lean to his base, even if it doesn't make sense, even if it's like, yeah, if it's detrimental or whatever, he's gonna lean to his base. So, child, pray for the world, pray for Florida, pray for everybody. Get their mind right.
Exactly.
We have a
Try to homeschool your kids if you're able to, or if you can.
for
If
real.
not, definitely you need to teach. If you of whatever ethnicity, you need to teach that at home. Because what's a better way to teach your child about who they are, then it's coming from you. Do not let other people that ain't, if you black, that ain't been a black in their whole life, be able to tell your child who they are and the things that have come with this, not just the events, but how that impacts. So
And the positive things, we
absolutely.
there's so many things that African Americans have contributed on so many levels, because I use the word
Hmm.
contributed, but it's like, honey, a lot of stuff we did and they stole. But that's another day for another podcast. So, like,
Absolutely.
you know, it's sad, but again, like Renee say, teach your children, do your research. And talk about research on to, do you understand the assignment of
I
your
understand the
life?
assignments.
Honey, because that's the thing. Understood the
The
assignment, but do you
assignment.
really? Because we're in 2023.
Ooh.
I kind of understood the assignment in 2022. I graduated, honey, but a lot of other stuff kind of
Woo-hoo.
fell to the side. It fell to the side. And so, like, when we are talking about, do you understand the assignment? Do you realize what is going to take? We don't have the answers. We're going to talk about what we think and what has worked for us in certain with certain goals. But do you understand the real assignment of your life and your purpose? And when you're setting these goals, what do you need beyond just doing it? Beyond money? Yeah. So, do you understand the assignment? I'm trying to. I
I
am
definitely
trying to
am
understand the
trying.
assignment,
I think the assignment is life in general. So it's
honey.
ongoing. It is not one of those things like after this point you turn the paper in. No,
Yeah.
this is one chapter after another chapter into
Well,
your
they
life.
say draft after draft.
Yes,
Here's another draft.
and the final is when it's final. So, and I think it's not the dressing up on the outside that it looks good. Because trust me, I have been to the library before and I got books galore, and somebody walk by like, "Good God, she is studying," and I'm scrolling. If not, I done read the same one paragraph 5, 6, 7 times, and it's like, can I read? I can't read. I think it's the comprehension part. Like I don't even know what I had read. So it's like you can dress stuff up and it makes it look good. You can make it look
Hmm.
easy, but absolutely no work, no effort.
And you can know all the things to do, right? Like when it comes simple thing.
The
One thing I talked about last
execution.
year, it's the execution. You can know every single thing to try, every diet, or you can know exactly what works for you. But until you work the work, but then it comes bigger. But the
Hmm.
first question is, do you have any New Year's resolutions?
Um, One, I definitely want to lose weight, but in that encompass eating better and just a more healthier lifestyle, just being conscientious of preventative care and things that I can do to overcome or prolong some things that's already in my genetics. Just try to live the best, healthiest me as I can.
Yes, I think I'm on the same thing. Yeah, I want to lose weight, but my biggest focus is being healthy. Like,
Yeah.
I've said I want to live a long time. I do. But I don't want to live a long time and be sick. I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
live a long time and can't travel. I don't want to live a long time and can't enjoy people in my life, and just enjoy my everyday. So what that requires is eating better, drinking water, getting vitamins, getting sun, getting movement. It don't have to look like, real serious, but so just my big goal in that arena is like setting routines, having things that's
Mm.
not, oh, I'm doing this to lose weight. No, I'm doing this because I want to be healthy. I am trying
Right.
to do these things just for the long term benefits of them. So that definitely is one of my goals. I know last year I had like certain words that were just kind of my mantras or my mottos for the year, and I'm actually still keeping some of them. Like one is surrender, because I try to control everything. um, but another one that I'm adding to mine this year is discipline, honey,
Mm.
because discipline sounds real good when you say it, but you can't go to Walmart and pick it up.
This
Discipline,
is very true.
honey, discipline is it's a muscle. I feel like discipline is definitely a muscle in the sense
Mm.
of you the things that you do make you more disciplined, and it assists you in being disciplined, because and discipline is a choice. Like, in every time you do something, it is the choice. And I think the more you are disciplined in your choices, the I won't even say easier. I think it's the more apt you are to making better choices. So what I mean by that is I have a certain time I want to go to bed and one time I want to wake up, honey. But I set the snooze button. I have two alarms, first of all, and all of them have snoozes. Discipline says
Just two,
I
just
have
two
two.
alarms.
I have two that goes off.
Ah, add 10 on top of that, man. I start
Well,
2 hours,
I can't do
sometimes
that
two
because
and
then
a
that's
half
disturbing my sleep.
hours. See, the first couple, I'm not even gonna hear it.
You sleep hard.
Exactly. So that's why it's like I start already 2 hours before. And it's not like, to me, it doesn't disturb the sleep. And that's why, like, I have to have like the most annoying thing, because I can't put music to my alarms, because guess
Hmm.
what? I want to incorporate that into my dreams. So I was driving, now I hear my song on the radio in my dream. It does. It
Yeah, I feel you on that. I don't do songs, but I do have a certain one for waking up. I kind of changed the other one because I realized the other one that I had was like very alarming. So it would scare me, but then it's like that adrenaline push, and then I was want to lay back down because I got scared in the morning, which is stupid. Like, why you want to wake up scared? Like, you want to start your day off scared? No. So I changed
Once
it.
I wake up, I'm scared, because it's like, oh Lord, I'm running late. So I mean, like, it's
But my
still.
ultimate goal though is for the alarm to go off and I get up. And that is gonna require
Ooh.
practice. It's like alarm off, get up. I had a friend tell me, discipline is you not thinking about all your options. Discipline is you hit that alarm, you get up. Like that, it's like
Mm.
you're not, because most of the time you think about it, okay, unless you're really asleep, your alarm goes off, you thinking, yeah, I can hit that snooze button. I got a 15 more minutes. You remembering I have that second alarm. And so I'm gonna roll back over. But it's the consciousness of doing it. I need to go to the gym. I'm going. I'm not thinking about it. I'm not taking no time to get in my feelings, because what feelings change.
Mhm.
Like, feelings change. One day I don't feel like it. One day I feel like it. One day I feel like this is the best thing for me. The next thing. So our feelings, I won't say feelings aren't real, but they are not consistent.
Mm.
Okay. So that's one thing, like, don't get that's one thing I've been thinking about. Don't let your feelings get in the way. Some Because I've heard people say feelings aren't real. No, feelings are very real. And that's why we have a tendency to lean into them. However, feelings change. So we make decisions based on something that changes, and it can change within an hour, but we make decisions based on those feelings. So we have to stop letting our feelings get in. For me, the feeling is I just want to be in my bed 30 more minutes. And let me tell you something, them 30 minutes do not do anything, to be honest. You always feel like let me speak for myself. I always feel like it's going to do more, but it really doesn't, because I always just want more. Like, I get an extra 30 minutes and now I want 30 more.
I really just be
That
wanting Jesus to wake me up, like in
would
whatever
be
time
lovely.
that would be.
That would be very lovely. But he don't be waking me up. I mean, he wake me up, but he don't wake me up all the time. He be like, baby, this is why we have alarms. Get it together. Develop your discipline. You know, and like I said, I really think this is my own personal opinion. I feel like discipline, like I said, is like a muscle. You have to work it. Because after a while, even when you say, oh, Lord, I don't feel like it, you'll have that thought, my feelings can change in an hour. Get
Mm.
dressed, go to the gym. Oh, I don't feel like meal prepping. Yep, I know you don't. Okay, go in the kitchen and get it together. You know. So I think that's definitely one
It
of
is
them.
the adulting, because if you think about it, as a child, you didn't have to necessarily be motivated. Your parents motivated you. It's like you got to do this. If not,
Honey.
it was the fear of I'm in trouble because I didn't wash
Yep.
these dishes, I didn't sweep this floor. And it's like, nah, if I don't sweep my own mop, it just ain't gonna get it. It's just will not be done, in no way, shape, form, or fashion. So, shout out to all the mothers out there
We've
that got
said this
you up,
before.
got you together, kept you on point or whatever. Even if, your mother may not have been the biggest, your mother may have been a procrastinator out there. I don't know. And you may feel like, my mom ain't organized. Guess what? She was organized enough to get you up, get your head
Got you
on,
together.
get you dressed into that bus stop. Because what she wasn't finna do is be chasing no bus. And if
Look,
you
one thing is she might have been late, but you wasn't gonna be late.
exactly. Like she made sure that you was at school on time, but you don't know the leaving out or dropping you off or whatever, and then trying to do that mad dash to work or whatever the case was. If not, even if your mother had already had to leave prior to you getting up to be ready, just knowing, guess what? She better not come back there to their house and find you there and school is in.
Exactly.
I feel
You
that. Go
said
to school, you'll feel better.
mothers, but I know we said it on, I don't remember what episode, and it could have been about anything, but the idea of parenting ourselves, right? Because we had our parents, whether it was your mother, it was your father,
Adulting
we
101.
had, yeah, right? Like you have to parent yourself. And what does that look like? And what, as a parent, if you had to parent yourself, what would be the thing that you want to instill in yourself? For me, it's discipline. For me, I think that is
Yeah.
part of my assignment is discipline. Um, because I'm not that disciplined. I'm working on it. I'm going to speak positive things. I am disciplined. I am transforming into a disciplined person. I am disciplined.
Yes.
Okay. And I am working um my discipline out every day within every area. I have to be disciplined just to get off the phone. It's just like I gotta go. It's at my time. I need to get off the phone at 9 o'clock. I need to do this. I need to do that. Just because I can talk on, we can talk on and on and on and on and on. And then there's things that I need to get done that I haven't gotten done. That most times I just don't feel like doing it anyway. So I'm gonna let this conversation keep going. But yeah. So the other question would be for me, or for me, I would say, what helps you to be disciplined? And then it kind of leans into motivation. I even heard you say that earlier, like you didn't have it. What motivated you to go and do the things that your parents, your mom wanted you to do is because you were scared. You were scared. You
Yeah.
didn't want to get in trouble. You didn't want something to be taken away. So then my question is, what is motivation?
Well, the motivation, I guess, back then was, you just didn't want to reap the repercussions because as a child, I didn't see the benefit necessarily of being at school on time. I'm
Mm-mm.
just saying, I mean, like, you just know, okay, school start at this time. But I think because kids really do not have the concept of time, you being at school on time, you didn't understand that. But it was part of, when you think about it, I start my day at this time and I need to get dressed, eat, and go somewhere for 8 hours.
Yeah.
So, as I say, it really is an indoctrination. Like, school does get you ready for the workforce for like,
It does, but I don't really mean in the past though. Like, so
okay,
what is motivation now for you? Because back then, yes, I agree. The motivation, children don't have the motivation, right? Our motivation is not to be yelled at, not to be fussed at, or
yes,
whatever.
I
But
think
now, what does motivation look like?
now the motivation is, how does this help long term? Me, be it financially, career wise, health wise, or because I know that there are young people that are watching me in my family. And
Hmm.
also, my son, he would ask you anything up under the sun. And it's like certain stuff, like, I don't want to have to really answer that question to you because I really don't have a legitimate answer. However, it's stuff that I ask him, like, nah, you got to be, no, that's not an acceptable answer. Like,
So
I
what kind of
know,
question you mean he'll ask you that you don't want to answer?
well, why didn't you do this?
Okay.
Because he may see there's no reason for you not to have done it.
Hmm.
Or because I've been talking about, yeah, I'm gonna get this done, I'm gonna get this done, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. And then I don't. And then it's like I have no legitimate acceptable answer to tell him. So it's like I don't want to let him down in that point, or how does that translate in his young brain?
Right.
To like, well, you know what? I'm gonna turn around. I'm gonna remember this answer, and then when you ask me, "Well, Corey, why you ain't did X, Y, Z?" and he get it right back to me, at that point, that's that. Ooh, I want to
Exactly.
fight you, but guess what? I can't. I have to fight me
You
because
know, I will
that's the
say,
reflection of me. So I want to be the best version of myself, so I can
right.
set the best example for him. But then I know there's young people in my family that are watching and that will know my story,
Hmm.
and I don't want them to see me slipping because I know sometimes certain mistakes at different points in your life, it can cost you 5 years, 10 years, whatever, like
Yeah.
that. Where I don't want that for other people, because I look back and some of my mistakes, they were mine to make. I was a trailblazer. I didn't know certain things. I didn't know what to ask.
Right.
But then with others, it's like, hey, this is a clear path. Stay on this path. Don't create your own path to go right beside the path that I already got.
Yeah. And I think that, I know you, because I completely agree with you with the idea that school is like a indoctrination for working a 9 to 5, at least the process of it, whatever.
Yes.
But on the other side of it, I do think um, one of the great things that comes out of being educated in the school system is learning the Lord, importance of being on time, learning
Mm-hmm.
the importance of turning in your homework on time, right? Like just kind of keeping your word in that regard. So if at a young age you're never getting to school on time, 9 times out of 10 you'll never be anywhere on time, just because you've kind of learned that, yeah, I don't need to be on time to get anywhere. And I mean, and honestly, that has to be a value because that may not be a value for everyone. My mom was very, and still is very, about time and punctuality. When I started driving, honey, she would leave me. Goodbye. I see you there. Maybe, maybe not. But I knew it would have been. It should be it should be a yes. It should not be a not. Okay. But she would leave. She would leave me. Child, my mom has left people going to play. She'd be like, "Your ticket will be at will call because I'm not about to be late." But and I'm very much, oh, I'm gonna get there, free spirit. I'm trying to do things. I can find 5 million other things that I need to do before I need to get dressed to go somewhere. But what I will say, although that's kind of like part of my personality, as I've gotten older, I see the shift in me of wanting to be on time and actually now really seeing the importance of being on time and what happens when you're not on time, and even the importance of being before time. Like I see it now, working. I'm like, I want to get there before I need to be there so that I can get settled and I'm not stressed out. But
Let me give y'all a little story about this girl. It just came to
who?
my memory. You.
Me?
Oh,
Okay.
yes, you.
Me?
Yes, it was like the importance of being on time and all this
Oh
other kind of stuff.
Lord.
So I definitely can be habitually late. I own that.
Hmm.
I don't like to be, but for whatever reason it happens. So Myochi was turning 30 years old. Do you remember this? Do you remember this?
I love it.
So Myochi is gonna get I remember I had on purple dress. And Myoshi had was gonna have a limo, and she was like, "I don't want you to miss being in the limo, Renee. Don't be late because she was gonna have to work." And so it was just like, "Look, you got to be on time."
Yeah, my
So it's
birthday was
like,
on a Wednesday, and I decided I still wanted to celebrate on a Wednesday. So it was like, once we
so
leave, we
you should
leave.
tell me be at her house at 6 o'clock. Like you gotta be here at 6 o'clock because at 6:15 we're gonna leave. Like you can't be pulling up. And I want you to find a spot because you got other friends that's go come and the parking over there. And it's just like y'all need to get there so y'all can get all the visitor spots, even if it's in front of somebody else's house. They gonna be at work, whatever like that. I get over there. I was like, oh, I'm the first one here. And then I'm just sitting down there. And then she was like, why you ain't dressed? And I'm just like, the limo is going to be here. She was like, girl, I had to tell you to come an hour early because I know you was going to be late. I was like,
It was a false start. I wanted her to be on time. So I just gave her a
yeah.
false start. I know y'all have heard of a false start, right?
That is in track and field where you done took off before you heard the gun.
No.
That's what a false start
Well,
is.
whatever. For
Or before
me,
they
I
done said
felt
hut one,
like
hut two, and then somebody done crossed the line before the play even started. That's a false start.
I just thought if I
That's
tell
seconds.
you to
They're not a
get
whole
there
hour.
an hour ahead of time, you would be. I felt like you would have got there like 30 minutes early before, right? That's what I thought. I thought she was gonna get there 30 minutes before. Bam. I do remember because I wasn't even dressed. It was like, oh, let me put my clothes on.
Yeah, because
So
I'm
we
like, I'm there and I'm just sitting downstairs. Michelle upstairs. She's rolling. You want to come up here? No. Because I wanted to be like,
we
I
had a
remember
wonderful time.
we did have a good time, but it's like, sometimes the joy and the good time is overshadowed. Like, you know what? She played me. She
It wasn't my
really did
intention to play
play
you. I really
me.
wanted you to be there. So I was trying to help you out. My bad.
Girl, because I remember
My
I'm sitting up there, I'm
bad.
running, I'm sweating, and it's like, okay, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there because it was like I don't really have to do nothing. I already got my dress laid out, whatever like that. I'm gonna shave and do all that stuff the day before. I had a sew in, so I'm like, I ain't even really just got to do nothing with no hair, and I'm like. Darn, it's in the middle of the week. I'm rushing, trying to get home, whatever like that. Let me take my little shower. Everything already laid out. Boom. I go over there. She stay like 5 minutes away, and I'm sitting up in there like this.
Renee, my motivation is that I wanted you to be there. Forgive me for being a good friend
I'm gonna
and
think about
wanting
it. Whether
to,
I forgive
you to
you.
be there. Oh my
Forgiveness is not
God.
immediate. We go
Well,
see.
hell, it's been 12 years almost.
Don't matter.
I should be forgiven by
I
now.
ain't thought no more about okay, what happened prior to until you talk about the late then the tardy. Like let me go ahead and say I can be late. Yes, I can. I
Well,
can be late.
I was giving an example of a like I said, here's the thing, and this is what going back to do you know the assignment? The assignment for you, right? No, no, seriously, the assignment for you. The assignment
Okay.
for me. That is why I'm saying what is your value system? That thing, and I really think let's just make a point. I think you have to figure out what? I think
I'm
you
just
really just
laughing
need
because it's like I was a whole hour early. I was just
you
sitting
were,
here, and then she up here in a
but you
darn
made
mood,
it
just
though.
walking around like she ain't got a care to wear. What's going on here?
But you made it, and I
It's
think
your
that's the most
birthday, but it
important
seemed like
thing.
the surprise was on me.
Well, I didn't have a surprise. I knew it was happening. But let's go back. Honestly, I think that might be the first part
And
of figuring out your
FYI, everybody
assignment.
didn't ride in the limo. Some people they drove their own car, not because they was late. They was just gonna meet. Yeah,
I wanted you to ride. Like, oh my God, you love living in the past, huh?
I wasn't thinking
Let
about
me call your sister. See, this why Quinn was on there
it.
defending herself. because you like to live in the past. Almost
I
12
know,
years
but when people
later,
bring
you
stuff back
talking
up to
about
my memory, like let me look at that with my 43-year-old eyes. Let me reevaluate.
it was me being a friend and I wanted you to be on time. That's it. I honestly didn't think you'd be on time. So the fact that you were on time for the false start, I was like, what?
Lord, please let me get a trip together that we at the airport so you can be there a whole day. I want you to spend a night in the
First of
airport
all, if
somewhere.
we have a trip and we going on the airport, I will have my tickets and I'll know what time I'm going because I'm going to check and double check. You know me. I am
I
going to
will
check
talk to the pilot.
itineraries. I'm checking itineraries all night and in the morning to see if anything changed. Okay, so I won't be too early. Okay, that is for a fact. But no, getting back on track, I think that is probably since I came up with like the value, right? About being
Mhm,
on time. That may not be a value for you, right? Even if it's something that you want, it might not be a value for you. And that's fine because nothing's wrong with that. But I think that may be part of, do you understand the assignment? Figuring out what your values are. What are the things that you value? Make on time mean being on time may not be a big thing for you. And it to me that's kind of small, but if it affects other things, it may be like that sub piece of your value. But if you
mhm,
value your family, if you value friendships, if you value in going further in your career, if you are valuing building up your character, if you're valuing being in health, what things then do they line up with your values? So, and I think we
mhm.
really have to figure out what is it that we value. And your values don't have to match other people.
True, true,
And a lot
true.
of times I think we get caught up in that idea of other people's values. And
Mm,
it sounds good. Like even the whole being on time, right? It sounds good. I brought that up because that's me. That's where I am right now in my life. I see that when I get somewhere right on time, I'm flustered, I'm frustrated because there's things I may have wanted to do prior to getting to work or prior to. Like I go to the movies, I like to get my popcorn, I like to use the bathroom. If I get to the movies right on time, I'm gonna meet the previews and I like to get the previews. Okay. I like to see what's coming. So noticing these things about me, I'm trying to do a better job of being cognizant of time. That is a value for me because not because it makes you a better person, but I know how it makes me feel being late,
mhm.
you know.
Yeah. It's not
Um
a good feeling to be late for certain things. I would say that. I think I think like if it's just I don't know. Some stuff is like okay, I genuinely feel bad. Then other stuff is just like, oh, I hate to be late for this. But I
right.
know there's really no consequence or anything for me, being late or being on time. There's no reward or no reward or whatever. It's like I got there when I got there.
And I think that's too like situation. It's situational. Earlier
Exactly.
this week, I went to Zumba and it already started. But my goal of wanting to be healthy is I need to get more movement. And I had made a decision at the last minute that I was gonna go to Zumba because I'm starting to be able to move more. And my back is feeling better, and I made the decision at the last minute. So for me, it was like, which value is more important right now? And if being healthier and getting movement is important to me, it don't matter that I'm missing the first 15 minutes. If I get that good
Yeah.
30, that's fine. And I think I only miss honestly like 5 minutes. But so for me, being late was inconsequential. The goal was to
Right.
be there.
Like last Sunday, I had went to a hip hop class and I was late. Some of it was because I couldn't find parking because it was doing some construction and I'm not on that side of town. It was like downtown, so parking was ridiculous. And then when I got there, it had already started and it was supposed to be for 90 minutes. And everybody else got on the video. I didn't make it to social media on there. And it wasn't because it was a lack of it. Maybe it was because I was tired and I stayed moving the whole time, but was I
Mhm.
doing everything that everybody else was doing? No. So it's like you want people this information. The assignment was personal to me. Like I'm gonna
And
get up here
assignment
and
is
I'm
that you
gonna
was
do this.
moving. Exactly.
Exactly. And it's
You were
just like
moving. And listen,
they want to see
sometimes
me over there dry heaving.
You going the wrong way. They going right, you going left. They doing the cha cha,
Yeah,
you doing the salsa.
exactly. So it was just like I'm out here, I'm having fun. I am so glad that I got that. I felt great afterwards. I was hot and sweaty and stuff, and I was tired. But like overall, I got that exercise high, and it was just like, oh, I forgot about this. Like after you exercise, you really do feel good, and
Yeah,
and I
get them
yeah,
endorphins.
yes. So I do think that I think with certain things, like you said, it is situational. So you definitely is more disciplined with certain things than you are with others. And I think it's like, what is the priority?
Yep.
you know, um, on the list, because if you got work assignments and different things that you planning on doing, so then therefore hey, I need to be here because they're watching. If not, this is going to in turn make the difference if I'm going to get a raise or not. So some things can be definitely more intentional. Whereas if you don't go to Zumba but you pay the people, they don't care. They got your money. You can't get a refund
Hello.
back. So if you get there 5 minutes ahead of time, on time, 5 minutes after, 5 minutes before it closes, like whatever the cost was, that was the cost. Um,
So the first step is knowing your values and what is it that is most important to you. It could be right now. I used to be a believer of not okay, I believe it, but I didn't really follow it. But it was that belief system because I
mm,
did follow it. And I think that is why on a lot of things I've probably fallen off because I had this belief, and I'm going to say this, and you're going to say, I've heard this before. The way you do one thing is the way you do all things. And you hear
mm.
it and it sounds good. But the truth is, and I had a friend share this with me recently, and I was like, but you're right. He was like, the truth is that's not true because if the way you did one thing is how you did everything, then you wouldn't be able to wake up 5 o'clock in the morning and pack your bags and take a trip. But waking up
True.
5 o'clock in the morning and going work out is hard.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of it does boil down then to discipline because you have a motivation. Your motivation for the trip is I'm about to have a wonderful time, I'm about to turn up, or I'm about to relax, whatever
I
your thing
need a
is.
new scenery.
Exactly. But it's that idea because I think for me, because I think I had that mindset that the way you do one thing is the way you do all things, it really can get you stuck because then you make a
Mm,
mistake and it's like, well, I messed up, and you fall off because you feel like this one thing is connected to everything. When
mm-hmm.
it's like, no, which you make a mistake. It's like, no, let's just recalibrate. Figure out what is your motivation. Figure out what area are you not disciplined in that you need to
Mm.
tighten up.
That makes so much sense as to say the way you do one thing, you do all things, which that's not true because let's just say like you're in a group. If you have been deemed the leader of that group, you have to do a whole lot more and be do 200% over the 200% everybody else's give. But like if you just part of the group and then you're just, as I say, supporting or
Hmm.
whatever, but you don't have any official goal, not goals, titles and stuff as far as, but everybody has a portion of what they're supposed to do in a group. But you not a leader of the group. The way you go about that is definitely different from you being the leader of the group versus you being one of the followers. So that makes perfectly sense because you can't do everything the exact same because sometimes
You're
it's a time and a
changing.
place for that.
It is
Yes.
so many variables. And something I just thought about, and you even saying that, we're talking about mindset. And sometimes we don't even know the things that we've heard. We've heard adults say, we've heard our parents say, we've heard on television. So a lot of things we take hold and like make it a part of our value system or make it part of the tapes that play in our heads. And we don't really always understand
Mm-hmm.
how it's affecting us and how we've internalized it and how it shows up in our life. So I think
Mm,
even in figuring out what your assignment is, also figuring out what are the things that you have held on to that maybe don't
mm.
serve you anymore. things that
Ooh,
has nothing to even do with you, but it's a mindset, it's an idea that we are operating out of, that you honestly you've heard, and it's what they say, Inception. That is one of
yeah.
my favorite movies
Oh, it's
because
mine
it's
too.
so deep, and every time I watch it I feel like I get something from it. But it's,
Yes.
where did the idea come from? Is it really from you? But a lot of things we got when we were younger, we got because we've heard it over and over and over and over and over by a person that is credible to us, be it a parent, be it a grandparent, be it just a really close friend. It could be anyway, a pastor. So we grab hold of some ideas and some thought processes that don't serve us.
Yes. And I give a great example of this. A lot of people have heard their parents when they were young. It's like, I don't trust nobody. You can't trust people. So this one guy, we talked about that. He was like, he had trust issues and stuff. And as progress went on along, it was like you. He was like, everybody I done ever dealt with, and it wasn't talking about relationship. It was friendship, family. Everybody had did him wrong. And I was like, was these people that you knew that you could trust or not? And then it's like, okay, so give me a couple of examples. And some of it came to be about was they didn't betray your trust. What they did was they didn't do what you said you wanted them to do.
Yeah.
They didn't, it wasn't that they betrayed your trust. It's just that they chose, I ain't got to do what you say. So
Right.
you didn't like that. So then now I can't trust them. Why was there ever a conversation like, I'm going to do what you say do? No,
Mm-hmm.
they were not your child. They are independent human beings. But he was like, see, that's what I'm talking about. My mama always told me, you can't trust nobody. I said, that's where your trust issue come
Yep.
from. I said, because you're at 6, 7, 8 years old, you watching TV, and your mama now had a conversation on the phone or something. She could have been outside having a conversation. She done got pissed off about something. Now she walks into the house and then pass you, and then you hear her say what she's just talking under her breath, or she just, frazzle dazzle or whatever. This is why you can't trust nobody. And you hear
Mm-hmm.
this, and you hear this. So before you even get to a point in your life to know what true trust is and what
Exactly.
true untrust is, you already have an untrusting expectation out of
Right.
people.
Right.
So, but what you seen on display with your mother is that it wasn't people betrayed her trust. It was just that they didn't do what she wanted them to do. It wasn't like, I wanted you not to cheat on me and you went and cheat. No, it wasn't even that. It wasn't anything of that. It didn't have anything. It's just like, no, what it is called you're bossy. And
And
people
the
like,
reality
you ain't
is,
boss to me.
the reality is, he probably heard that multiple times. Like you
Throughout
said,
his
yeah.
life,
So you
young
come up,
adult
you
life,
have these ideas in your head, these thoughts and these mindsets and these
and you're
belief
trying to
systems
process
that's
them
not even
with
for
no
you.
type of context. And that
Exactly.
is why I grew up, and a lot of people grew up. You children can't be in in grown people conversation because they already knew some of these conversations are 3 or 4 years in the making. Some of the stuff that's being said have a 15-year context to them, and which you as a child do not know. That's why children couldn't be in the room when adults was talking, because they already knew you ain't got the mental
And
fortitude
you really don't.
to even know what is going on. So guess what? You stay over there, you stay in a child's place, and then as you get older and conversations happen, and then your brain develop, and then you learn personality types, and you've been through some experiences, then we can try to get you into more adult conversations with the family members, and then you okay. And I think sometimes what happens, especially with a lot of families that infighting, you have so many people that has entered into the conversation at different times, inappropriate ages, don't know backstory, and nobody goes back to try to set them correctly other than you ain't right, you don't know, you wasn't there. But nobody don't sit up there and try to tell you what you didn't know.
Exactly. And children process things different from adults, because you can sit
Yes.
a child down and try to explain something to them and use all of the cognitively appropriate, age appropriate vocabulary for them, but that does not mean that how they process that conversation is it is rooted in fact. That,
Exactly.
I mean, if
It's
you think
like trying
about
to teach
children,
algebra to a 3-year-old. Like, what do you
exactly,
mean? I just learned how to count to 20. I don't can't even recognize my numbers yet. Now you want to throw
exactly.
letters in it? What is a letter? You
So
know?
yeah, so with understanding your assignment, know your values and know where your value system come from. Because if you picking up other people's values, it's not going to benefit you. And that
And
could be why some things fall off, right? Like I'm picking up these values and I'm trying to do something that not even innately something that I truly, my true authentic self want in my life. So now these things are clashing and I'm not able to move forward and reach certain goals because I don't really want this. This is not really
I
something
think
that is true to me.
everybody assignment needs to be go back through and see reevaluate what your foundations is. Not to say like, do you have foundation, but what is they rooted and grounded in? Because as I say, it's certain things that we definitely live by, like certain cliches and stuff like that. Catchphrases, and it could even just boil down to certain scriptures. Some people they can recite a lot of stuff, but it's like go back and really, what does that mean? How can I
Right.
really apply this to my life? And versus you just repeating something that you have said and it just becomes a part of who you are. It's put it like this, not a part of who you are, a part of you, the vocabulary is a part of what you repeat back. But how does that does in here and how does that display and show up
Well,
in your life?
and the thing about it is, you say something enough and it drops in your heart. So now you have this belief system that kind of really wasn't yours and is not aligned with who you are.
Mm,
And ultimately, it can affect your outcomes
mm-hmm,
because you may have conflicting viewpoints, right? So you've heard certain things over and over and over when you were younger. And so I've said it, and you've like you said, you're saying these things. And so now it's a part of my belief system. But now as I grow, because I can definitely tell you the way I think about certain things now that I am in my 40s, that I thought about things when I was in my 20s, some of it is night and day. And
mm,
although I may actually believe something else, it sometimes they conflict with another belief
mm,
because
yeah.
it's like, oh well, you know, um, this is what they always said in church, but now I've learned something different. I believe something completely different. And
Mm-hmm,
there's still that part that's like, am I wrong for believing that? You
mm-hmm,
know, it's interesting. So really kind of I had a pastor that used to say this, and it's so true. What you learn first, you learn best.
mm-hmm.
And when you learn
Because there's
it,
nothing to compete with that information.
because most times when you learn it, that's what you hold on to until you learn something new. And that's not going to happen really close in you learning that new information.
And a
And
lot of
so
times
it's
you got
hard
to
to
cast out and cast down whatever that first stuff is. And what you learn first ain't necessarily what you learn right.
hello is
And I
not, and that's
definitely feel like
real.
all of that definitely plays into motivation, just on the spiritual aspect of it. Because sometimes people they feel like, what the poorer you is, the closer you are to Jesus. Says who? Says who? Because I know broke devils, let alone some rich ones. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I definitely think some of the motivation or what can hold us back has been, you know, not just it is a lot of what people will say about us, because I think people may feel like, okay, if you reach a level of success now you have to apologize for it, or you feel that there's so many people that's going to change on you or flip on
Or
you,
who now needs you and you don't want the responsibility of that. But that also can be because that's what you've heard all your life, that
which
when you
that
when
could
you
not
make
be
it
true. Everybody may
right.
not want nothing from you, but they
Exactly.
still cool with you.
Right. But if you've heard that all your life, and not even specifically about you, but like, oh, people leave people behind and they don't forget the little people and all these other things, and however you've processed what that means. And so now you are afraid, people can really be afraid of success because the responsibility of others that are attached to them that they don't want. I remember I dated this guy briefly who I don't know why I felt like I needed to put it in briefly, but whatever. Um, he used to play football. I forgot what school he played football. It was on university or whatever. And so he got drafted to the NFL. And so um in that whole process, I guess things was happening with his family, or what he perceived was happening with his family, and he quit. And he was like, I didn't want. He literally said, I just don't want the stress of people asking me for stuff. And I was like, who was asking you for things? And he said, nobody. And we were trying to have. I was really trying to have this conversation because it blew my mind that the stress of you thinking, now that I am going to do this, I'm now going to be responsible for these other people, and I don't want those responsibilities. So therefore, since I don't want to disappoint them, I'm just not going to do it.
I'm not gonna step out here and take a life transforming, once in a lifetime deal.
I mean, he may have not made it for, you get drafted and you still got to make the team. You got a whole bunch of other stuff you have to do or whatever. But just
Yeah.
the idea of that mindset that he probably had all his life, now you're afraid to step out and try because you're afraid of something based on some idea. So I think you know mindset, how do you understand your assignment? Like, change your mindset.
That's where change starts and begins with, in the mind. And it's not, okay, I see what it is, because a lot of times people, they have dreamed of riches, and when I dream, I see, I don't know, I don't dream that I'm this size. I always dream that I'm little, so
Hello. When
I
I look in the
mean,
mirror, I be like, what happened? That's not what I looked like yesterday in
exactly,
my
like
head.
everything is on point or whatever, and that's the whole point about a dream, and things of that nature. So sometimes, people, they definitely, like, your change has to come not from what you see, as to, like, okay, how do I begin this? What do I need to change today to be able to start today?
And I mean, that might look like you joining some online groups. That might look like you buying a book, getting some audio tapes, whatever resonates with you. Finding some people that are just
It could just be
motivational.
this: pen and paper. Let me write down what I'm going to do, or how do I need to get to that? Because I think
Right,
a lot of people have goals, but they have absolutely no way of figuring out how to get to them.
right.
And then I think if you figure out how to get to them, then your motivation will come to get to
Absolutely.
these
But
things
when,
too.
right. And then when you're trying to change your mindset is what I'm talking about. Like, when it's the mindset getting, like I call them tapes. I think I
Mm.
heard Dr. Phil say it a long time, and it just stuck with me, because the reality is we hear these things in our head over and over. It's just that tape that's running on repeat. Things that you've heard in the past, things that you've seen. And so these tapes are running. You can't get rid of it. You have to actually replace it. And so how you replace
Mm.
it is with, that's why I was talking about getting a book, finding some motivational speakers, people who are in industries that you maybe want to get to, or just, there are a lot of powerful people out there. Let me look at my book, because uh, some really good people that just talk about, it's all about mindset. Like, they're talking about
Mm.
Les Brown. That's one that
Mm.
everybody knew about. If you listen to him, all he's talking about is mindset. Et, how we used to
Yes,
listen to
I
him,
was
is
gonna
all
say.
about motivation and mindset. So it's not just
And even with
how do I
Christian,
can,
what do God, Jesus said? It's the renewing of
it's the
your mind.
renewing of your mind. And the only way to get those tapes, you have to replace the thoughts. You have to replace these ideas with something else to get
Yes.
rid of that, because it's always going to come up for you. And so I think that
Got to
is, and
sage
it's
your
free.
brain.
It's free on YouTube. You can go and look up some of these
Oh,
talks. They
yes.
have TED Talks. They have all these things out there. It's all about motivating you and helping you hear a new idea, a new perspective just on life, about moving in your mindset, because everything starts in our mind. every single thing starts with a thought in our mind, and then it takes root into our heart, and then it goes out in action. So
Mm,
we have to do our part to change where it starts.
mm-hmm. Absolutely. 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 That is definitely, it's 100%, it's in the mind. That's where it starts. And as I say, keyword motivational speaker to motivate you. And they all talking about changing the mindset. So you leave out of there, you hear something. As I say, this is a new tape.
Exactly.
So now you can go and do something new. Absolutely.
I mean,
Amazing.
it's a new year. Gotta get something new. Get something new in that head. As my grandfather said, give you some wrinkles in your brain.
Oh,
Don't let it be
yes.
soft. Just a smooth brain with nothing on it.
Exactly.
Some fat. No,
Exactly.
that's what you said. You get some fat on your head.
Yes. Exactly. And with that, everything does not have to start on a Sunday, on a Monday, at the first of a month,
Oh, I
the
love it.
first of the year. It just has to start. It can start on a Friday at 6:33 p.m.,
Exactly.
a.m., or
And
whatever.
I love that you just said that because it's like, a lot of times I am the very much the on Monday I'm gonna start, but it's like you need to change tomorrow. I change right now. Whatever I need to do, I'm gonna start listening right now. I'm going to make me a list right now. If I have 5 minutes on the toilet
Mm-hmm.
in the morning, I'm gonna read a little bit of this little book or whatever your thing is. And I think it's important because to the final point of giving yourself grace because
Mm,
we are humans. So
absolutely.
therefore um we will make mistakes, but it's just I'm in the valley of how I feel about using the word mistake, because I feel like when we say we make mistakes, it's like the expectation that we're perfect. We're going to make mistakes. And how about it's just we're on a journey, so we may take different detours from the journey, but getting back on track, give yourself grace to get back on track. you
Mm.
know because you may turn left and was supposed to turn right. You may learn something, and then the reality is you may learn something in turning left.
Oh, absolutely.
You may learn something that
Absolutely.
you can actually use later on your journey. And like you said earlier, Renee, really and truthfully, this is not about reaching goals. This is about the final chapter. It is about the growing and going in the chapters of our life. So give yourself grace. If you make a left, you're supposed to make go right.
I posted this on our Instagram, and for everybody, it's mistakes, mustakes. It said the mistakes you must make in order to get ahead. So when you sit up there and say, I don't want to use that word mistakes and stuff, and it's like, no, you must take these things, and it may not go right. But guess what? At that point, this is the wrong way. I need to try and do something different. Because if everything just automatically went right the first time, where's the science in that? Considering both of us are scientists, and that's part of the science, that you do the research and you don't get it right. But then guess what? Sometimes some things they've been, discovered from a mistake of whatever. I'm pretty sure it's all different type of new techniques of different things that came from, this was not supposed to be the outcome, but guess what, this ended up being a great outcome.
Exactly. Wasn't penicillin discovered like
Yeah. the
that?
man the man he was looking for um things to try to kill bacterium. And when he had bread, and the bread was molded and the spores went over there, and was like, wait a minute, something has happened. So at that point it became exploration of everything that's around. And it's
Hmm.
like, let me take some of this bread, because the bread has mold and stuff like that. And penicillin is a wonder drug.
It is.
Absolutely.
And that's a
People,
perfect example of a mistake
post-it
taking
notes.
you
People
where.
don't realize post-it notes was a mistake. The man knocked over some glue, some kind of tacky glue that didn't like get like hard glue, like,
Hmm.
or whatever, and it was only on a portion of it.
He was like, "What? Now I can stick it on the wall." And let me tell
And
you,
post-it notes.
honey, they was created for me.
You
Okay,
know, right stain was like that too.
what
That stain, right
rice
stains,
stain?
WR mistake.
Let me tell you
It
though,
mixed
post-it
together
notes.
those two different chemicals, and then now we can see sales.
This is a very great mistake because this is my life. I have
That's a
post-it notes
$1 billion mistake.
everywhere in my home. I have post-it notes on my door so I don't forget stuff to when I leave. I have post-it notes on my computer, my work computer. I put post-it notes because this is how I remember things. My brain goes, I feel like 1,000 miles a minute. And so for me to remember things, post-it notes. I mean, they be everywhere. I like the
Yes.
little ones, I
And,
like the big ones, I like the medium.
and guess what? Prior to that, what did people do? People used to take tape and
Mm-hmm.
make a little note. If not, they use a thumbtack. Guess what? They still sell tape because tape has a lot of different uses. Paper is still being sold without tackiness on the back and stuff like that. Thumbtacks and tacks are still being sold. Nails are still being sold. So that invention that turns out to be a great invention still
The
did not take
mistake.
away from what people was already doing prior to that. People
Exactly.
still stick stuff up on their refrigerator. Right now I have a couple of papers with magnets up there on my refrigerator and so, but do I have post-it notes? Absolutely. So still that lets you know there's enough of room for whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish
Give
without
yourself
taking
grace.
away from anything else that's already there.
And that's the importance, I think, of giving yourself grace because we can make a mistake or a mistake and not
Mm-hmm.
realize it is because of you make the mistake or, whatever, and you don't realize, oh, I could use this for this because we
Mm-hmm.
so focused on the fact that we made an error. Oh, I didn't go to the gym 3 times a week like I said I was going to go. I never applied for this job that I said that I wanted to. I haven't been reading this book. And so then a lot of times, and I'll speak for me, and I don't know about you, Renee, and other people that's listening. I've had in the past, because I'm trying to speak positive, I
Yeah.
have in the past when I've made mistakes, like it just compiles and it make it worse because it's like,
Mm-hmm.
well, I already didn't do it, so I may as well do X, Y, and Z. So now my focus is not even on getting back on track. My focus
Mm-hmm.
is in the mistake that I made and how bad it is. And so therefore I may as well keep down this road. Since I made a left, may as well keep going. Like, child, you just all you gotta do is turn right, get back on track. See how you could
Some
use
of it
this
you didn't
turning.
even make a turn. It's just like you bumped up against the road, but then now you want to just flip the cove and get it started back, and then just going home
Exactly.
down the wrong. And it's just like that's not falling off the wagon. That is just like guess what? Maybe your posture or wherever you was at, it just got shaken up. Where it's just like okay, pay attention, stay
Yeah.
focused. Maybe that's why that happened because
Stay
you wasn't
focused.
pay attention. So definitely stay focused. Give yourself that grace. Give yourself
Yes.
that mercy and stuff. And grace is renewed daily.
Honey,
Daily.
I say grace must be renewed every hour. Cause
You know what? Our time and God's time is not the same. So it very well could be.
hello, time is
But
not the
I
same.
definitely thank God for his grace and his mercy because I'm
Amen.
not deserving of neither one of them. But as I say, we are human beings. Mistakes, great things will happen. As I say, it all comes from that same one source. You. Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's like, guess what? If there is room for greatness and not so great or whatever like that, be happy that greatness still can come there and you're capable of it and it can start at any time. And I think sometimes when we have that notion like, hey, I need to be doing this, I'm gonna start Monday. No, that's the time to start then because you already got the motivation because Monday may be 6 days away because you got it. It came to you Tuesday evening.
And if
And
you
now I
like
got
me and Monday come and you forgot that you said you was gonna do it, you feel like, well, got a whole nother week. because that is
because
happening.
we
I'll be
set
like,
on. And
next
a lot
Monday.
of it is the indoctrination with school. A lot of stuff. Hey, this is going to
That's
happen
true.
on Monday.
It's like
The
the start of the week.
the class assembly is going to happen. Okay, we're going to have this homework. You got a week to prepare. So I gave it to you on Monday, and then you had all week to do it and stuff.
Yep.
And it's just like that part of it. It does indoctrinate us. It starts on Monday. It starts on Sunday. It's like
Hmm.
those are the only two start days. No,
Every day, every time, every hour.
as long as it's breath on your body, it's a start time.
So I just my hope for everyone and us,
Yes.
because this conversation, as we said, the 40 spot is not just because we have information. It's just us talking about things that we would talk about even if you guys weren't here. And
Oh, yeah.
my hope is for us and everyone listening that we learn our assignments, we learn our values, and that we're able to keep going even when we make
Hmm.
mistakes, right? And
Yes.
we can use those things to get on track, to stay motivated, and to be disciplined in the things that we have. Guys, we're gonna do a check-in, a mid-year check-in, and see how everyone's doing and some of their goals. I know our goals were kind of wide, but it's because honestly, for me, discipline, I just need to be disciplined because
Hmm.
there's a lot of areas in my life that I'm not disciplined in, and I can be honest about that. So I need to start working in the little areas and in the big
Hmm.
areas, and that's what
Hmm.
I'm going to start doing. And so I just hope that whatever you find out what is necessary for you this year, that you get it done and understanding your assignment.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So just keep focused, keep moving, give yourself that grace, and let us know how you're doing. You can always email us at the40spot@gmail.com. You can direct message us on Instagram, or even comment on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter.
YouTube.
So wherever, all of our previous episodes, they are uploaded to wherever you listen to your podcast at. So we will have this one uploaded before the week is out. And I have a couple of poll questions that's out there that, if you follow us on Spotify, and we'd like you, please rate us. Give us that 5 star. If you don't feel like it's 5 star, let us know why, so that we want to be able to improve. Again, like, comment, subscribe,
Follow
share,
us.
follow
Follow us
us.
on we're on iTunes, we're on Spotify. If you're any of those platforms, hit the follow button. Don't just listen, hit the follow button. Download, all those things count. And we just thank you for the support that you guys give us. But that support is also wonderful, especially when there's certain things that we want to do and those numbers matter. So please follow us on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your
Apple
podcasts.
Podcasts, everywhere.
We
We
are
everywhere.
there. Download episodes, like it, comment. Again, like Renee said, rate us. If you felt like we didn't touch on something, let us know. There are some things out there with questions on what do you think about this particular topic? Please let us know. This is a community. We're trying to build a community.
Yes.
And so this is not just about what we think. Well,
No.
this is about what works. And so, we are grateful and thankful for you guys support. Your support means so much to us, and we are
Hmm.
grateful and thankful for that. We do have a few birthdays that we're gonna shout out right quick.
Yeah.
Yes, we
Let's-
have two that are coming that haven't passed, but Frenette, girl, she's in the comments today. Her birthday
Happy
will
birthday.
come up before our next episode. So happy birthday, happy early birthday, Frenette. And then I have
Yes.
a birthday for my friend Casey. Happy birthday, Casey. She's coming. It's at the end of the month. So
Yes.
we want to say thank you guys for y'all support and just happy birthday. Have a turn up time. Renee, do you
Yes.
have anybody?
Yes, I do. I have Christy. She is a fellow alumni of Fisk University. Um, so I wanted to, actually, today is her birthday, so I want to give her a birthday shout out.
Happy birthday.
Also, our birthday, the 40 spot, was this
Oh,
month.
yes.
It was twins, so we Thank y'all for, this 1 year. We have had a lot of stuff that has happened over the course of the year and stuff. So we just continue to want thank y'all for supporting us in whatever way, the watches, the views, the likes, the comments, sharing us, and continue to do that. Also, if you have share any ideas, show ideas, let us know. Let us know. We're open for all of those things. All of those things.
And we would like to celebrate not just birthdays, anniversaries, births, marriages, whatever,
Graduations,
graduations.
you
We are about
starting
celebrating
something.
life. Yes, I think that's something we definitely add, right? Like if you're starting a new business, you're starting a podcast, you're starting whatever. We want to support. Again, we're trying to build a community. Please, please, please DM us on any social media at the 40 spot. You can email us at the 40 spot at gmail.com. So it's the 40 spot at gmail.com. Let us know, send a picture, because we would love to actually add that at the end when we do our shout outs. Right now, we've been doing birthdays. We're like, you know what? No, we want to celebrate life, and life changes and happens in different forms. So please get that to us. We are
Yeah,
so grateful for you guys. And so we want to share some of that with you.
exactly. Exactly. And we hope that you all have a great week. You know, love yourself, love one another. If you can, pay it forward, learn something, one something this week that you didn't know that's actually going to help you in life, not the not the gossip and stuff that's gonna be happening this week and stuff, but also pay attention to the politics that's going on in your local area, because there's a lot of moving parts as we get to 2024 election year everywhere across this nation.
But as we always say, if it costs you your peace, then it's too expensive. Y'all have a wonderful week, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye.
Bye bye.